Feeling threatened? Police escorts? What the heck is going on, man? Garrett Greene's mother said a whole lot. We're going to talk about that right now. Stick around.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Locked On West Virginia, sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. It would be greatly appreciated. And thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Welcome in, guys. So obviously, you've probably heard by now, but if you haven't, I'm going to tell you. In a now deleted tweet, which I understand why she probably did that, Garrett Greene's mother made some really disturbing comments yesterday and highlight a part of fandom or fanaticism that every fan base has and isn't proud of. And a lot of us wish we knew the addresses of these people, because I would send the police there immediately. I would. Going there and confronting them would be doing the very same thing that they're doing. So somebody made a comment yesterday, a public post about meeting Ren Baker and people at Kroger or out and about somewhere. People are out of touch. And here's a great example of this. This is West Virginia Sports Now. Mike Ostie wrote this. I think Voice of Morgantown also wrote something on this. I don't know who was first on it, but I Googled this one, and this is the one I found. Aftermath of Neil Brown's comments exposes tough reality for family of WVU players and coaches. In an unfortunate development, the backlash from Neil Brown's recent comments has exposed the ugly side of West Virginia University fans. Blake Greene, the mother of quarterback Garrett Greene, revealed some troubling information about how she currently feels when in West Virginia. Now, keep in mind, they're from Florida, or I'm pretty sure. Maybe Kentucky. I'm not exactly sure. She said, first of all, thank you for the support. A great feeling knowing that all my son's hard work just results in now I feel threatened. Just out and about in West Virginia. So this is obviously a little bit sarcastic. A place I have developed such a love for. It's why I am not allowed to wear my son's name/number and why I have police escorts sometimes. It's crazy. She said on X. I did reach out to her for comment, and of course I'm not surprised that she didn't. I'm not surprised that she declined or didn't reach back out. Man, it's a sad thing. It really is when you take fanaticism too far. This is a woman that probably, what does she even have to do with it? Is my first question when I think of situations like this. Like, she is the quarterback's mother. It has nothing to do with what's going on with what's on the field. It has nothing to do with how her son's playing. Nothing. They're not even connected. Like, talking about just souring the West Virginia name even further. This is the way to do that. And the worst part of it is, to me anyways, is that this woman has to feel like this. It's not been easy. And I don't know where these threats have come from. She didn't go into details, but, Garrett has earned a lot of criticism this year. He has not lived up to the expectations and hype. I do want to say that. But that's where it stops. Like, he's earned public criticism because he's getting paid now. But that's nothing in comparison to going out of your way to threaten somebody's mother, or even confronting them in person or what have you. I don't know if this has happened at the games. Don't know, but Garrett, he's also a reason we've won a lot of games over the last 2 years. So it's not, I get it. He hasn't played well up until now, except in maybe one game. He's had a couple decent games. He hasn't really had a huge breakout game yet. But man, he did last year, and I don't want to forget that either. So they were flying high, obviously, last year, and this year's been somewhat of a disappointment. And then you add in the fact that there's a team trying to get ready for Kansas State, and all these distractions: ESPN, Outkick, Portnoy, and those guys at Barstool, and then all the local people have picked up the Neil Brown comments and have really gone in heavy on that. And then you look at the fallout from, we had a recruit decommit today because of everything that's going on. It 1000% has everything to do with the Neil Brown comments and the fallout, everybody's reaction to it. So what I would say is this: if you are a West Virginia fan like me and live and die with what they do, and I'm talking about, obviously, I have chosen a career path where I have to obsess about West Virginia 24 hours a day. This is all I do, literally. And if it's sad, what have you, whatever you think about me, I sit in my house. I have a family, obviously, but I sit in my house and I study West Virginia sports. I keep in contact with players. There's a lot of media. There's a lot of people that I have to keep in contact with. And I am the true definition of a fanatic. I've got them tattooed on my body. The only relationship I had with my dad at times where it was with over West Virginia. So I don't understand this next step. And never will. I don't understand going the extra mile and possibly harming somebody or scaring somebody or worse. And there's no defending it. There's no defense for it. So, Neil Brown has nothing to do with it. Players have nothing to do with it. These are people that are out of touch with reality and need to be arrested for harassment, whatever. There should be zero tolerance or something like this. I can't say that with enough fervor. And you're looking at a guy that has done his share of time, and I've been honest about that over and over and over again, that as somebody who has been reformed, will never, ever side with somebody that's coming at a family member, a player, a coach in a confrontational, physical, violent way. It's just not ever going to be cool. So if that's you, get on down the road to another fan base, because if I could whoop you, I would, but I can't, because it would just be teaching you that what you think is okay. Very frustrating, guys. Thank you for joining me here on this episode. Man, but I've got a mom, and I just couldn't imagine what Garrett, you know why people don't come back sometimes, like Pat McAfee? Do you know why? You know why Pat McAfee's just now coming around almost, 15, 20 years later? It's because he was threatened. It's because he was threatened. It's because he was death threats. It's because his family was threatened. Like, nothing will sever a relationship with a player and their family quicker than that. And some fan bases are worse than others. I know that's not something that we want to hear, but this isn't the first time we've done it. So it sucks, man. It sucks. And I agree with Sean Mills. Absolutely. The fullest extent of the law. No doubt. Matt Dick says, also, once again, these may not be WV fans as much as bettors today. I just read an article where people gambling are going to jail for threats to players. There's no way for us to pinpoint it without asking her, though, Matt. I mean, we can try to explain it away like that, but at the end of the day, we're going to be the fan base that gets the finger pointed at us because of whose mother she is. Man, somebody can be a better on West Virginia and still be a fan. Like people do that too. Um, and I mean, there's no way to know whether it is our fan base or not, but based on the past with McAfee and everything, the thing that with Bobby Bowden, and others. I mean, there's more than just that, obviously. I can't think of instances off the top of my head. That would have probably been a good thing to do before starting this, maybe looking at it a little deeper, but I just decided just to talk about this situation. So I don't know, man. It's just like Christopher West is saying down here, the recruits see this stuff. It's not good. I see that's what I just said, Chris. We had a decommit from Kentucky, Danville area, which is Neil Brown's hometown. So if that doesn't tell you it's because of the comments, I don't know what will. I can find out right now who it is. W player decommits. It is Montaven Quisenberry, a 3-star number 1 player in the state of Kentucky. So, his highlights are extremely impressive. I remember I did an episode on him whenever he committed because he is very much like the Jock Sanders type, one of those players that we've had over the years, short in stature, but very jukey, kind of like Jaheim a little bit, those kind of players, even though he's more of a receiver. So very frustrating, guys, and a somber way to start the show. But let's move on to something else here, in a little bit better topic. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, ESPN they have West Virginia winning this game this weekend, and we can do a Q&A segment at the end. Stick around, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you in part by Game Time. That's right, Game Time. It's a great deal. It is a great deal. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats. You can look at the seats before you buy. There's even a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. 360-degree panoramic view from your seat before you buy. And look, if you like low price guarantees, they've got one, and they give you more back than you paid, 110% of the difference, which makes it the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create the account, redeem the code LOCKEDON college for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and ask yourself, what time is it? It's game time. What is up? So we're moving away from that topic there. Obviously, I'll make a comment. If I see something in the comments, I'll make a comment about it. For those of you listening on podcast, obviously, this is a live episode of on YouTube here. So sometimes there will be comments in the chat box that you won't be able to see. And so sometimes I have to I'll read those out loud. That way you know exactly what the question is and stuff like that. So looking at the ESPN FPI here, let me get back to it. I had it pulled up, I thought. Where is it? All right, here we go. ESPN FPI predictor can't seem to get accurate reads on the game here. WV versus K-State. This was written by Skylar Callahan. So halfway through the 2024 season, the West Virginia Mountaineers are still a team everyone is trying to figure out. Are they a good team that's just happened to lose to 3 undefeated top 25 opponents? Or Are they a group that is going to beat up on bad teams and lose to everyone else that has a winning record? Not sure he has the answer, but apparently neither does ESPN's Football Power Index, the matchup predictor that they have. Just before the start of the season, it gave West Virginia a 47% chance to win versus Kansas State. The week of Big 12 play is getting underway. When it got underway, it dropped to 32%. After the win over Oklahoma State, it was at 37.8 and then spiked to 48.9. And now it sits at 43.2, and Kansas State is at 56. That's really dang close. You look at Vegas, the spread started out at 2 points, 2.5 points, whatever it was. It's close. And these predictors are right more than they're wrong, you know. So I agree with the guys. I know there's been a ton of negativity this week. Let me get a drink here. Apologies for pausing here. Dusky. So I know there's been a ton of negativity this week. But can I just say, this is a game that, you know, stylistically, styles make fights, as they say. This is one that, well, I used the FanDuel one, Daniel, but and it was at 2.5 last night before I went to bed. I haven't checked today. Let's check right now. I'm going to type it in and then I'll read it during the ad. So, but yeah, this is a game that has a lot of, you know, a potential for West Virginia. And what's really crazy, I keep thinking about this. I posted this yesterday, but obviously it would make West Virginia 3-1 and controlling their destiny from there on out, which is kind of hard to believe in a lot of ways, but it's true. When you look at the West Virginia schedule, obviously K-State, you got to assume the win there. And then you go to Arizona on the road, a team that I'm just not that scared of. They've got one incredible wide receiver. He's incredible, no doubt about it. But they can't beat us just with him, I don't think. We've seen players like that before. Calvin Johnson did something like that to us. He went for like 200 against us. We still beat him. You can. That's why coaches do this. They do it a lot. They'll make one guy beat you and stop everything else. And so I think that'll be the game plan, which has been the game plan against Arizona. Get by that game, and then you're really starting to talk about, well, maybe they can do this. And I've read comments all day since yesterday, people hoping we lose out so that Neil Brown can get fired. And I've explained, I just can't do that. I just can't do that. I'm not built that way. My happiness is directly associated whether we win or lose, no matter who's coaching. So let's say you get past Kansas State and Arizona. Okay. Then you get Cincinnati, who has been tough. They're tougher than I thought. Definitely not if you're sure, but they're by far not as difficult as any of the previous three games, in my opinion. Maybe Arizona is similar. And then Baylor, who has played a lot of teams tough, but West Virginia should be decidedly better than. UCF, West Virginia is decidedly better than. And then Texas Tech, who's on a run right now at 5-1, I think. So there are opportunities here. But you have to get through the next two, obviously, for people to really start to think, holy crap, after all the negative stuff that has gone on, could this actually happen? And nobody wants it to happen for this team more than I do. And I know people want Neil Brown gone and hate Neil Brown and all that. You look at his record in the last month of the season, it's really good. He's gone undefeated in the last month. Or one loss or less in the last month of the season, like 3 times now. So this team gets better as the year goes on with him a lot. A lot of that does to do with him playing freshman, not so much. And I think it takes him longer to get better. So that's kind of my opinion. But yeah, Matt says he can see West Virginia getting to Texas Tech at 8-3. Daniel Sargent says, I don't care if Baylor was ranked 1, we would beat them, have won every meeting in Morgantown versus Baylor. That's a fair point. We also own Cincinnati. That's going to be an interesting game this year, obviously. Let's see. Uh-oh, I got a spider here. What the heck? That was freaky. Sorry, I had a spider. Lucky I'm not an arachnophobe. All right, so I wanted to check out Cincinnati's record. I haven't looked at it this week. I looked at it last week. Cincinnati football record is, as of right now, they are 2-1. They're 4-2 overall in the There's a lot of one-loss teams in the conference right now, so everybody's thinking the same thing, you know. Only Iowa State, Texas Tech, and BYU are undefeated. Pretty crazy, actually, when you think about that. Look at how many one-loss teams are in the conference right now. West Virginia, Cincinnati, Colorado, Kansas State, Arizona State. All one-loss teams in the conference right now. You've got Arizona at 1-2, UCF at 1-2, Houston at 1-2, Utah at 1-2, TCU at 1-2, and then you got Oklahoma State and Baylor at 0-3. This league just feasts upon itself. That's the best way to put it. So, but guys, we have to support this team this weekend. I've probably seen on my last couple of videos, which, by the way, thank you. And the views are still pouring in on yesterday's video. It was one of my better videos in a while. Thank you for that. But, man, there's a lot of negative comments. There's a lot of people that have said they're done. I hope not, because there's still a chance. You know, it's not like we're out of the running yet. I don't see myself technically not giving up, but like my interest level will be lower a little bit, once we're out of the race, just natural. So, all right, guys. Pokemon Kid Entertainment, how you doing, man? I know your arm had been hurting. He asked the question, Paul, you think West Virginia has another loss, or do you think they can pull the upset in this next game? Here's what I think stylistically. What I was going to say earlier, then I got to go to break real quick, and we'll come back and put a bow on this. Stylistically, I think Kansas State is less built to beat this defense than Iowa State was. Iowa State was a running team that looked to pass the ball off the run like we are, similar to us, except we don't have a quarterback that just spreads it around. We would used to shot plays, and we can't even do that this year because we don't have the receivers to get all the way down. In the case of Iowa State, obviously they did have that. Now, Avery Johnson's getting better, but he's closer to Garrett Greene than he is Rocco Becht. So they like to run the ball, and they have arguably the most productive running back in the conference right now, DJ Giddens, who just made Shiloh Sanders look stupid last weekend. If you haven't checked that out, he put up 200 against Colorado and looked really good doing it. He's going to be a tough matchup for us because he's a lot like the Hanson kid from last week. So it's going to be dependent on if we can control their run game. If we can, I don't think that Johnson's the kind of quarterback that can beat us throwing it as much as the Beck kid was. So stylistically, it's a better matchup for us. So I think it's going to be a closer game. We just need to get out ahead and see where it goes from there, But Neil's track record isn't great, guys, so we'll see. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, we'll continue to talk about the game and some other things. Is there a quarterback controversy? That's something a lot of people have been talking about. Stick around. We'll talk about the quarterback for West Virginia on Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can watch the start of the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the very same page you place your bets. Get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. As we look at this right now, let's see what FanDuel says about the game. It is moving. You're right. Let's see. Well, it just kicked me out of there. Where'd it go? 3 points is what I see. So at 3 points, not bad for West Virginia. We'll continue to see exactly how that game unfolds. Keep checking out FanDuel to check it out. West Virginia is not the favorite in the game, no. Kansas State continues to be the favorite, and depending on where you look, it's between 2 and 4 points. It looks like some money came in on K-State, which made the spread just a bit bigger. But it started out at right around 2. So, interesting, I think that's close enough where you can kind of think, well, I can see West Virginia pulling that out, absolutely. So, let's talk about this quarterback deal here. I saw another thing and I wanted to read just really quick. And I think Ryan and Rush also did something on this. May have been yesterday or today. I'm not really sure. Let's see. Yeah, this is Skylar. I think Skylar Callahan wrote this. Nico Marchiol just might factor in at quarterback for West Virginia down the stretch. West Virginia isn't making a quarterback change, but Nico Marchiol could still see some of the same action. West Virginia quarterback Garrett Greene threw 2 interceptions in the loss to Iowa State and only managed to complete 56% of his passes. It's not good. With the game seemingly in hand late in the fourth quarter, Neil Brown could have allowed Nico Marchiol to run a drive, but declined to. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if it crossed his mind. When asked about it in the post-game presser, he gave a snippy response, which he did, asking a question back to the reporter sitting, why would we do that? What? Do you think we need one? A spark? It was a horrible response, by the way. The reality of the situation is Green has not played to the level he's capable. And in some ways, you can say he's taken a step back from a year ago. His completion percentage was talked about all offseason, and the coaching staff felt extremely confident that he would get to 60. Nope. Green is currently completing 56.9% of his passes, which is only 3% increase from last season. Not good enough, especially when he's turning the ball over as much as he has through the first 6 games. On Monday, the question was asked about whether Nico could see some playing time down the stretch. This time, Brown gave a different answer. I think you go across the country, everybody's enamored with the backup quarterback, which we've heard that for years. We're very fortunate here because we have one that can play in the backup role. Are these scenarios where he can play? Are there scenarios where he can play? Yes. There's definitely scenarios where he can play. Has Garrett done enough to lose his job? I would say no. Did he play as well as he needed to on Saturday for us to win? I would say no to that as well. But Garrett's our starter. Nico's a really good player, and I really believe that. He's going to be our starter at some point, but Garrett hasn't done anything to lose his job. He's played well enough. He's got to make better decisions. One of those interceptions was clearly pass interference, so I don't blame him. The second one was a really poor decision. Nico's got a bright future. We can win games with him. Are there scenarios and packages where he could play? Yes. Packages? Yeah, probably not. At least not throwing the ball. It would make 0 sense for Marchiol to have 2 or 3 packages a game and run the offense for a handful of plays. 2 quarterback systems don't work, and Neil has admitted that in the past. Marchiol will get opportunities if Green goes down with an injury. The game has been well decided, or if the team is struggling to win games and they need to see that Nico in the final couple minutes. If you remember, at the tail end of 2022, Brown pulled the plug on JT Daniels as the starter to give Green a runway heading into 23. If the Mountaineers are out of the Big 12 title race, don't be surprised to see that happen in late November again. So my thoughts on this are, I felt like for a couple of weeks now that Nico should be the guy, and people crucified me for it. They did. Man, when I brought up Nico as the starter, people did not want to hear that. It was before Oklahoma State, I believe. But So then I looked even more dumb because the way we played, even though he didn't really do anything in the game. I mean, it's really hard. This is a subject that may be in bad taste because of what happened yesterday, but I still feel like it's okay to critique or publicly criticize Garrett, and also recognize that everything that was said to his mom is just absolutely horrible, and I hope it's punished through the law. But I really believe that Nico gives this team a better chance to win right now. First of all, Garrett's not changing games with his legs like he did. Like the run against Iowa State, he had what, maybe two big ones. That's just not enough, and he gets nicked up when he does run it a lot, and he's just not able to make enough throws. He throws two or three good ball. He can throw inside the seams pretty well, but if you're asking him to do something from one hash to the other, no. If you need him to go deep, he can do that. But there's not a ton of throws that he makes well enough. Slants and things like that, a lot of times they're behind receivers that have to make tough catches. And then every now and again, he looks really good. He really looks really, really good throwing the ball sometimes. But it's just he's not a pocket passer, in my opinion. But what do I know? I think Nico, the throw against Oklahoma State was so good that it just shocked me to even see it. And it was only a 8 to 9 yard slant. But it was the zip he put on the ball and the accuracy and the way it led upfield, just a little bit of space that he had to throw it, just was so dang good. And just Garrett couldn't make those kind of throws right now, in my opinion. And I think when teams shut us down in the run, if we had a quarterback that can throw it a little bit more accurately and better, we would probably win a couple more games than we have. But we won't know that because Neil doesn't make changes often at all. So that's the way it is, unfortunately. Thanks for joining me on this episode, guys. I appreciate everybody for being here. You guys are in here almost 200 deep, as always, and give me some support. What are you talking about, David? I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. You're late to the party here, brother. I got to get off this episode. I'm supposed to be done at like 30 minutes, and we're at 32. But you're talking about she has a cell phone. I'm assuming you're talking about Garrett Greens mom, maybe. I'm not sure, but she posted this on X, and has been posting things on X for quite a long time, over a year. Obviously the picture of her and Garrett, that's the only one I've seen. So anyway, if you're trying to say that it could be somebody else, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but just type it in the comments and I'll respond to that. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Locked On West Virginia. Got to run, but we'll do another cool topic tomorrow. We'll talk about some good stuff. Hopefully nothing major happens. And keep believing in this team to beat K-State. There's no reason we can't win the game. I mean, there are plenty, but talent-wise, we should be in this game. So let's hope it happens, guys. But until then, this episode's over. I'm out. And before I go, make sure you make Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day, and thank you for doing that. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big 12 podcast. Drake Toll leads the conversation in commentary alignment news, and he pulls no punches when it comes to covering every team in the Big 12. Find Locked On Big 12 wherever you listen to your podcast and on YouTube. Have a good one, guys. This episode's over. I'm out.